Hey, welcome back to our study this week. We are looking at Genesis 40. Today we're in 22 or 20 through 22. And we've been looking at Joseph's interaction with the cupbearer and the baker, these two officials that were thrown into prison because they made Pharaoh angry, and they had some dreams. And then they told Joseph the dreams because he said that he could help them out with their interpretation of what the dreams meant. So they tell him. He's given them two different interpretations. One's a good one, one's a very bad one. And so we're going to see what happens next. Now 3 days pass, and we find that it's Pharaoh's birthday, and he makes a feast for all of his servants. At the feast, he lifts up the heads of the chief baker and the chief cupbearer, just like Joseph said. This means that they were both brought to trial on this day. That's what it means that he lifted them up. They are brought to trial. The cupbearer is either found innocent or he's pardoned for his crime. And he's restored back to his position as chief cupbearer. So whatever he did, however he made the Pharaoh angry, Pharaoh decides on his birthday, the guy is found either innocent or he's given a pardon for what he did. So he's let go. Actually, he's restored to his former position. So he's not only just let go, he's actually given back his old job, which is great for him. Now the baker is found to be guilty, and he is beheaded and his body put on a spike. Everything happened just as Joseph said. He was right. Interpretations come from the Lord. Joseph was a wise man of God, like Daniel after him. And this special gift from God will one day lead him to importance in the land of Egypt. We'll see that in the following story. Now at the very end of the chapter, we find the connecting sentence between chapters 40 and 41. We might be wondering why we received all these details about the two officials and their dreams. What's the big deal? Well, this last verse ties these two stories together. Joseph had asked the cupbearer to remember him when he was restored to his position. Joseph hopes that his case would come before Pharaoh and the truth of his wrongful imprisonment would come to light and he would get out. But the cupbearer, being restored to his position, simply forgot about Joseph. Now, we shouldn't judge the cupbearer too harshly because, how many times have we found that when our lives are at ease and things are going well, that we forget about the troubles of others? It will not be until the end of 2 full years that God will change the entire direction of Joseph's life again. So we see Joseph was right, 100%. The interpretation came from God. He listened to God. He told the message. He just delivered the message that God had given to him. He's not making stuff up. He's not like, okay, let me think about this. Let me go consult my, magic books or something like that. Like the Egyptian magicians would have done. Let me go see this book of dreams and see what it means. No, God gives him a message and he delivers the message. That's what happens. So, for Joseph, it's completely different. He's operating on a different, whole different plane than the Egyptian magicians are. And we need to see that too. He's not like the other interpreters, because guess what? Later on, 2 years later, when Pharaoh has his dreams and he's asking the wise men, the magicians, what does my dream mean? They can't figure it out. They don't know. They have no idea. And so they have to call Joseph in. And it's very similar to what happens later on to Daniel. Same thing. All the wise men of Babylon, they can't figure out what's going on. They don't know the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. He doesn't even tell them the dream at that point. But God gives Daniel the dream and the meaning. He tells him that. And then all he has to do is relay that message. So it's not like he's sitting there trying to figure out, ooh, what does this mean? Let me consult my texts on this. He doesn't have to do that because God says, here's what it is, here's what it means, go tell them. And that brings us to kind of like the idea of sharing the gospel today. We don't have to figure out all these different ways of telling it. We don't have to figure out different ways of repackaging it to make it more palatable to people. The gospel is what the gospel is. You just have to share it. That's it. You just got to tell the story. You don't have to figure out anything. It's not hard to do that. You've already been given all the details that you need to know. You don't need to fill in the details. You don't need to add to the details. All you got to do is just relay the message. That's it. Just like the parable of the sower, just scatter the seed. You've been given the seeds. You got the field before you. Just go throw them out there. That's all you got to do. You don't have to be careful. You know, it's the idea of scattering. You just grab a handful and throw it. That's all you do. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to do any kind of genetic engineering of these seeds. You've been given the seeds. You have nothing to do with the seed. You know? So, yeah, that's what we need to do. And that's what Joseph did. Joseph just delivered the message. And so we'll come back next time. We'll kind of conclude this study for this week and see if we can figure out some lessons that we need to learn from Joseph's life here.